Hey folks, welcome back to Retirement Roadmap with Master Plan Retirement Consultants. My name is Evan, and with me as always, retirement planner Mark Fricks. How are you today, Mark?
Doing really good. Been a great week. Just so much fun hearing the stories of clients and prospects and giving them hope for retirement. I mean, it really is. And we've had clients this week that are just like, have a great plan. We've got others that, we got to work on a little bit harder because they're a little bit short, but we're going to find a way to make it up. And it's really neat.
We actually had a really great meeting with folks today who had not really revealed their true desire in retirement. It was almost, in their mind, a lofty goal that was maybe inaccessible, but they shared it with us today, and I think we're surprised at how hopefully we responded. And
the ideas they had, and I'm not even sure they'd talked thoroughly through them with each other.
Yeah.
Maybe some, but just to, sometimes you just ask, dream for a minute, and just let them take off. And will it all come true? Probably not, but if you don't dream up here, you can at least get here or wherever it may be. And whether it be buying a boat or becoming a boat captain or whatever it may be, if we know it, then we can strive with them to reach that.
Yeah, and on our side, it makes it more creative and fun to try to go for something that's a little outside of the norm.
As opposed to, I want a new TV for retirement.
Yeah.
and better cable service.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good goal
That's
too.
Okay, that's all right.
And with the prices of streaming services and however many, that could be a lofty goal depending on your perspective. So folks, today we're going to be talking about retirement regrets. So there was an article in U.S. News titled "The 10 Biggest Regrets of Retirees." So we took that article and we're going to go kind of point by point through it and give our perspective and our approach to these topics.
I love top 10 list.
Top 10.
Reminds me of David Letterman.
That's right.
What was that called?
I'm thinking of Johnny Carson's Karnak.
David Letterman had top 10 reasons not to do something or whatever.
Yeah.
So they were so funny. But anyway, yes.
Anyways, number one of top 10, and this is pretty clear for anybody, not saving more money. So retirement means saying goodbye to work and the paychecks, bonuses, benefits, all that comes with it. So not surprisingly, once that income is gone, many retirees realize they should have saved more along the way. More than 60% of retirees said they would go back and do things differently when planning for retirement. This is according to a consumer sentiment tracker from Lincoln Financial Group back in 2023.
It's so interesting, Evan. Again, we meet with so many people, and almost everybody that comes in, they're afraid they don't have enough. Whether it be 300,000 or 3 million or 10 million, they're always afraid, do I have enough? And of course we show them based on their needs, wants, desires, and things of that nature, do they have enough? And if they don't, how can we get there? But yeah, I mean, you never can save too much. And I guess it's just a journey you choose. We've got some people that, we heard about a client's, I think it was his son, that's on schedule to retire, like wasn't it 40 something or early 50s or something? But he sacrificed a lot.
Yeah.
But the last 30, 40, 50 years of his life, I mean, he can do whatever he wants to do. So it's just, but I just don't think you can ever save enough. And that does mean sacrificing a lot, but that's the last third of your life. You don't want it to be a worrisome, you want it to be happy golden years, so to speak, for sure.
Yeah, and I think too, when you're in that accumulation phase, a lot of people think, and it's true, just really growth focus, saving focus, that kind of thing, but you really can't meet too early with a retirement planner. You need to define your goals. The earlier you can define your goals, the more you know how much you need to put away to reach that point.
Don't you love it when these kids come in, of parents that we work with, some of them in their 20s. I've got one young lady that just got out of college. And the first thing she did was meet with us, and we developed a plan.
Yep.
Now it looks different than her parents and grandparents for sure. She's in a different stage, but to know that she can look ahead and know if I just take these steps, even with some setbacks, I am going to have everything I want in retirement.
That's right. Great. So that was not saving more money. Number two, saying yes too often. Well, what does that mean? One reason retirees may not have saved enough is that they were too quick to say yes to requests for money from others. Now, this could be friends, maybe some friends who aren't really great about getting that money back to you. Family's huge. I mean, we talk to a lot of our clients about, who still support their children, young adult children, which is no surprise in today's environment. It's really hard to be a young person, especially trying to get started with a family. But making sure that you are a little bit more conservative about how you spend that money. Relationships can have financial impact. Second marriages, or maybe your marriage ended and you're dating. And I know when I was younger and dating before I was married, earlier in that relationship, I like to take people out more. I like to go out and try to
impress them,
or at least treat more often than not. So it's easy to lose sight of goals in those sorts of situations.
I think one of the more difficult things that we see is that fine line between these parents. And again, most of our clients are 50 to 75 in that range. There are times when you need to help your kids.
Yeah.
But I've also seen clients that just, at the detriment of their own lives, they're already retired and they're spending down their retirement to do things for their kids, and the kids are taking advantage of them, but they can't say no because of that relationship, and they'll hate me or whatever. And I kind of get some tough love to them,
Sure.
And you do too, to say, do you want to be a burden to them one day? Because you're on the road to that. Mm. And so there is a fine line, and just had a client in today that, they had a child transitioning from college to a job, needed 6 months to stay at home, and they're renting a room or an apartment to them of their home. So they are going to charge them rent. I'm sure it's a discount, but still, you've got to give them responsibility like that. So I know it's tough. I mean, I've got kids, and Evan has kids, and you learn, you just want to give them everything, but you also know that's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah. And this isn't, this wasn't in the article, but when I look at this, I also don't see it as an anti-generosity point,
No.
saying yes too often. There are ways, and of course supporting your family, there are times when you don't have a choice. But then also, there are ways to efficiently give money as well. QCDs, qualified charitable
Remainder trust.
QCDs, qualified charitable distributions.
Yes.
Yes. Sorry, it's we're filming later in the afternoon than normal, so So there are ways to do that are tax efficient even. That doesn't mean that's an anti-generosity topic, in my opinion. It's do it smartly, do it wisely.
And we believe in giving to charities and churches and causes and things like that for sure. And of course, you can get a tax break sometimes for doing that as well. But maybe there's smarter ways to do that as well by taking it out of IRAs, getting a tax deduction on the IRA distribution. Other things you can do to be generous as well, giving away to a charity or a church stock that has a very a very low cost basis with a lot of profit. You avoid the capital gains. And so you can be generous and have some benefits besides feeling good about it as well.
Absolutely. Number 3, ignoring inflation. We'll have a handful of prospective clients who come in who actually have preliminary retirement plans that they've made for themselves.
Or at least income plans, kind of.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe once has there ever been a time that inflation was considered in those plans, and as soon as you add that inflation per year, the numbers completely change.
Yep. So the rule of 72, right? How often does money double? So I need help with math. 4 into 72 is 12. So every 12 years, prices will double in retirement if we have a 4% inflation, which I think is a truer measure of inflation. I think it's always been closer to 4 because of the way the government tracks it. But you're taking a look at needing double the income in 12 years at just 4% inflation. What if you live 24 years in retirement? You've doubled twice. And so that's got to be figured into the equation.
And it's true, prior to the recent hike in inflation coming out of COVID, it's kind of felt like inflation didn't exist. We were living really good for a while, but now it's on the front of everyone's mind once we've experienced it.
By the way, I want to correct my math. It's every 18 years it doubles. So if you're in retirement, I'm a financial planner. I'm not a mathematician. Okay.
That's why they make calculators.
That's why they make calculators. So, but still, at 4% in 18 years, your needs double. 18 more years. That's 36 years in retirement. That's not that long, especially for a couple, because likely one of them will live that long in retirement. So prices have doubled twice. And so if you needed $5,000 a month, now you need $20,000 a month and you're older, healthcare, things like that. So yeah, leaving inflation out of the equation is huge. And don't anybody write in or email me making fun of my math. Okay.
Yeah. Or do. We'd love to hear from you.
I've done a good enough job of making fun of it myself. So go ahead.
Number 4, waiting too long to plan. We really like this one. So baby boomers were a median age of 35 before they began saving for retirement outside of their workplace account. This is according to the 24th annual Transamerica Retirement Survey of Workers published in June 2024. Now that is a title. All right. That means these workers missed years of compounding gains on their retirement savings. Along with getting a late start on savings, some retirees also ignore other planning activities. Many are realizing that mistake now, with the Schroeder survey finding 63% of retirees wish they had done more planning before retirement. More than a quarter of retirees haven't saved enough. They attribute that to not planning ahead, according to a working paper on financial regrets from the National Bureau of Economic Research. Can you tell we are citing our sources?
There are a lot of articles here.
Yeah, waiting too long to plan, and that kind of goes back to what we said earlier, not saving enough. It's hand in hand. We've said before, the sweet spot is about 5 years before retirement, before you really start thinking about making those transitions from your 401k, the big accounts that had one job for growth, and then adding those to different accounts, splitting it up, letting those accounts mature to prepare for retirement. But that's just once we're ready to start transitioning. Previous to that, like Mark said, some of our clients' children, just younger folks who come and find their way to us. The earlier you can plan, the earlier you have those defined goals, the better.
The magic or power of compound interest, I think it was Albert Einstein that said the greatest concept or tool in, I don't know if he said the world or in math, was compound interest. And if you do the math, and it just makes a huge difference every year you have, though that interest in earnings is piling on top of something that's already grown, and it just takes the bite and the sting out of it. So again, whether if you're listening and you're younger, or if you're older, it's not too late to get started. Again, we had a client in today that they're behind. But we're coming up with a plan to try to catch them up. Now, it's going to be a little bit more sacrifice that they're going to have to make because they didn't take the time, but we're going to make it work.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, folks, I want to take a moment to point you towards our website, masterplanretire.com. There you can schedule your complimentary consultation with one of our advisors. That's masterplanretire.com. Click the Schedule Now button. It'll take you directly to our calendar. Find a time that works best for you. That's a consultation to discuss your hopes, your dreams, your goals in retirement. Have a series of reports ran for you that are really a 30,000-foot view of your own retirement. What happens if we just turn everything on with no planning? What does our retirement look like? How long does our money last? Okay, that's nirvana. Now let's stress test it. Let's throw in some bear markets. Let's raise taxes. Let's increase inflation. Get an idea of where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, your opportunities for improvement. Again, that's masterplanretire.com, or call us at the office, 770-980-9262. Point number 5, us underestimating healthcare costs.
So the average American in today's dollars, the average couple, I think it's getting close to $300,000 that they'll have to spend on health care. This does not include critical care like long-term care. This is deductibles, the cost of Medicare, Part B, the cost of your supplements, things like that. I mean, think about this. Just Medicare Part B, when you turn 65, is $350 for a couple per month. That goes up every year. You start doing that math and you start looking at the deductibles and everything else, you've got to have $250,000, $300,000 to cover those costs. And then again, if you pile on long-term care and things of that nature on top of that, you're looking at, you really need to have a plan and a strategy for all that.
That's right. We've mentioned this before on the podcast, radio show, wherever you're listening. There's kind of an inverse bell curve in retirement as far as spending. So when you start out, you're traveling more, all this other stuff, spending more money out of the house, then about halfway through your retirement, maybe 70s, 80s or so, you slow down a little bit. You're at home more often.
You garden.
You garden more, yeah.
You play
absolutely.
pickleball.
That's it. But then towards the end, you start increasing those medical bills again. It just gets, staying healthy gets more and more expensive. And so you've got to plan for that as well, and keep in mind that you still need some of that long-term growth for the future need.
Yeah, retirement planning has come so far. I can think back to my grandfather and even my father as he was approaching retirement. They just kind of kept all their money in this one big portfolio that was trying to grow, trying to also produce some income, having some more conservative holdings, and you just can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned earlier, we start splitting that up into buckets with a specific job, make them more efficient, more effective. It's just a different way of planning. So if you've not thought about that, if you're still reading old articles and hey, if you're 60, you should have 60% in bonds and 40%, that's hogwash. It's so much more than that. Again, this is so critical, and just going to see a broker that's going to invest your money, I guess that might be better than nothing. But if you really want to get serious about retirement, all these things have to come together into one really well-written plan.
Right. Number 6, skipping long-term care insurance. Now, if we had written this article, we would have edited that to say skipping long-term care planning. That's not to say that long-term care insurance isn't a powerful tool or it could be right for you. However, it's becoming increasingly more difficult to get. With some other issues, it gets more expensive as you.
It's already much more expensive. I think we're down to 3 standard companies that are writing long-term care now, and one of them, one of our clients received a letter that said that they want to buy them out. Right. They want to send them a check for $10,000 and say, just drop it, we'll give you $10,000. They've been paying on it for 20-something years.
Yeah.
And so that's the problem with long-term care. Again, I'm not recommending you buy it or don't buy it.
Or even worse, you don't get an offer to be bought out and you just
keep
can't
going
afford
up.
it anymore. Yeah, you have to stop. Yeah.
So again, we're not saying, we're saying insurance may not be the answer. Could be, may not be, but there are other tools that are available. Imagine this kind of a tool. Imagine that you're able to get a guaranteed income stream, and if you have a long-term care need, it doubles or maybe triples the income. Now, is that going to pay for everything? Maybe, maybe not. We run the numbers, but it's certainly a powerful tool, and you're not buying insurance. It's just a piece of another tool.
Yeah.
And so that's just one example. There are other tools like that as well. We've talked about some of them before, but the error here is not having a strategy.
Right.
That's the problem.
Number 7, keeping 2 homes. So many people dream of moving someplace warm and sunny in retirement, but still want to stay close to family and friends. Having 2 homes may seem like a way to get the best of both worlds, but some retirees regret that decision.
I tell you, it's kind of like, for some retirees, it's kind of like the same notion of buying a boat. What's your best 2 days of your life?
Yeah,
the day you bought it and the day you sold it. That's not always true, but that second home, it takes a lot of time. I'll never forget, I was vacationing in the mountains of North Georgia. I had rented a cabin for the weekend, and I noticed the neighbor Saturday morning outside at his cabin mowing and cutting and cleaning out gutters, and I got to talking to him, and he said, I said, are you renting? What do you own? He said, I own. I said, do you like being up here? I said, well, I spend my whole weekend working, trying to keep this place up, and then you got a whole other set of furniture and property taxes. Again, not discouraging you, but just saying there's a lot more to it than you think. So, maybe if you do Airbnb, when you're not there, maybe you can make some money, help cover some of those costs. But it can be a tough proposition, and it can cost you more than you think it will.
That's right. Number 8, investing improperly. Now, this could mean a lot of different things. Many retirees regret investment decisions, whether or not they wish they had put more into a Roth rather than that IRA and 401k. Perhaps they wish they had invested more aggressively or less speculatively when younger. Others express regret that they did not use a financial planner. I think all of those things are accurate, and I would almost add another point that can be along the same lines, and that is tax strategy. Make sure you have a tax strategy for your investment planning as well.
Yeah, there's so many pieces that could be a whole show, that one point there. But I see some people that are chasing stocks. They get this tip on this great stock, and out of every 100 stocks, one might be the next Microsoft. The other 99 maybe nothing. And so you hear the great stories, but you don't hear the people that, I know of 3 people that developed their own investment strategies using the Excel spreadsheets and these formulas and these graphs, and to a point they were successful. But there always comes a time that you pull the lever the wrong way. Maybe your emotions get involved. Maybe it's not going to be perfect every time.
Get too busy to keep up with it.
Whatever.
A lot of that can be day trading. And
I knew a day trader, and he was doing great till 2008. He lost everything. He was doing great up until that point. So I'm not saying you don't manage your own money, or you do, or whatever. We have many of our clients that have a small little bucket of money they play with that they can afford to lose. But when it comes to serious retirement, future planning and investing, I think the more help you can get, the better. And especially if you're far enough away from it that you're not emotionally involved. As we know, fear and greed are the worst emotions in investing. So, don't be afraid to get help.
Yeah. Number 9, claiming Social Security too early. Yeah.
Or too late.
Yeah, too late. Don't wait till after 70 is the key.
Or again, there's a lot of factors that go into that. Definitely, unless you have health issues or just desperately need the money, which means you don't have IRAs and things, you really want to delay that. I'm not saying wait till 70, but I'm saying if you can avoid it, don't take it at 62. Don't take it out of fear. What I mean by that, I've had several people say, I'm taking it at 62 in case it goes away. Well, let me tell you, brother and sister, I don't care when you take it, if the trust fund dissolves, you're going to get a cut in payments by 30 to 35%. So that's not the issue of whether you take it or whether you don't. You're not getting grandfathered in, all right? And so run the numbers. Help us, let us help you run the numbers. See the best time. If you're a couple, maybe one takes it early, one takes it later, or whatever. But there's a lot that goes into that decision-making process, including life expectancy, discussions that we have with every client.
Absolutely. And then number 10, quitting too soon. So leaving the workforce too soon was number 1 financial regret uncovered by researchers. Of those surveyed, 34% wished they had worked longer, while only 6% said they regretted working too long. There are many opportunities for older workers to find fulfilling work that can also provide extra income. So that's true if you want to find something on the side, but also making sure you can maximize the efficiency of your assets in retirement. Again, seek a professional. Yeah,
and again, we've worked with so many clients and talked and spoken with them, and so they're desperate to get out of a job that they hate. The problem is what they were doing is a specialized skill, and now they're 58, 62, and this company can hire cheaper, younger people, and so. You may find a job in retirement, but it's probably not going to be as flexible as you hoped it would be. More importantly, the income's probably going to be a lot less than you thought it would be too. So unless you line something up, I've seen a lot of clients do consulting in their same field, and that seems to work pretty well. But really try to have something lined up if you just can't stand where you're at, but the numbers don't work yet. Don't pull that trigger too soon. You may be floundering around for a couple of years trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah, great. Well, that brings us to the end of the 10 points of retirement regrets. Do you guys have retirement regrets or fears or questions or topics that you'd like to see us do? Feel free to reach out to us, masterplanretire.com. We'd love to hear from you. Mark, any closing words today?
I think great points today. I think this really kind of comes together and kind of wraps a nice little package around the regrets, right? I would just say again, probably the most important point is get help. At least get somebody to take a look at your situation like we can do. As fiduciaries, we'll look and see where your strengths are, your weaknesses are, what needs to be worked on, where are you good. So don't be afraid to take advantage of that complimentary consultation. Reports are going to be very revealing, and I think even the discussions we have with you will help a lot. So don't be afraid to do that. Masterplanretire.com, push that little green button, and our calendar will pop right up for you to choose a time that's great for you.
Sounds good to me. Well, folks, thank you again, and have a wonderful day, evening.
And until we see you again, remember, plan well and prosper. Take care.
This was Retirement Roadmap Radio with Mark Fricks of Master Plan Retirement Consultants. To schedule a complimentary consultation, go to masterplanretire.com or call 770-980-9262. Thanks for listening, and remember, Plan well and prosper.
All matters discussed during this show are for informational purposes only. Each individual situation may vary, and the opinions expressed here may not apply to everyone. Materials presented are believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations can be made as to its accuracy. All ideas and information should be discussed in detail with one of our qualified representatives prior to implementation. Advisory services offered through Master Plan Retirement Consultants, a registered investment advisor in the state of Georgia. Mark Fricks and Master Plan Retirement Consultants are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency.